You know how we're always told that to succeed, you've got to be on all the time, hyper-connected, always available? But what if that constant connection is, well, secretly costing us something huge? A hidden toll that's quietly derailing even the very best performers. It's a really weird paradox when you think about it, isn't it? You're a high performer, you're checking all the right boxes, you're climbing the ladder, but you still have this nagging feeling that you're just spread too thin, that you're not quite measuring up. So what's really going on here? Why does success so often feel kind of like you're failing?
Just listen to this. It's from a guy named Brian, a serious high achiever who, from the outside, had everything you could want. Great career, great family, but this was what was really going on inside. I mean, that just hits you, right? It perfectly captures this feeling so many of us have, but just can't quite put our finger on.
All right, so if we're going to tackle this, we first have to give it a name. We have to be able to see it. So let's pull back the curtain on this invisible crisis and identify these tiny, tiny moments that create all this pressure in our lives.
And that name is microstress. Now, this isn't your typical big-ticket stress. We're not talking about major life crises here. No, this is about the constant, tiny moments of stress, usually triggered by other people. They're so small, so routine, we don't even really notice them happening. But, it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. The buildup is just debilitating.
Okay, so let's break this down. How is this different from regular old stress? Well, traditional stress is obvious, right? Your company has layoffs. You know exactly why you feel stressed out. Microstress, though, is way more subtle. It's that little pit in your stomach when you realize a teammate dropped the ball and now, surprise, you've got to work late to clean it up. You don't stop and think, oh, I'm feeling microstressed. You just absorb it and keep going. It's that classic boiling frog story, right? We sit in this pot of water and we just kind of adjust to each tiny increase in the heat. We tell ourselves, it's fine, I can handle this. We barely even notice the temperature is rising until all of a sudden we're boiling and everything is not okay. Okay, so what is all this buildup actually doing to us? Well, the research shows it hits us in 3 really specific ways. Think of them as 3 major drains on our personal resources. First, it just demolishes your capacity, your ability to focus, your time. It all just gets chipped away. Second, it empties your emotional tank. It just pours in anxiety and that awful feeling that you're constantly letting people down. And maybe the scariest one, it goes after your identity. It starts to pull you away from the person you actually want to be. And these aren't just abstract ideas, right? They show up in our lives every single day. That capacity drain, that's when your boss sends one of those super vague emails, and suddenly the whole team wastes hours just trying to figure out what they even want. The emotional drain? Oh, that's that constant grinding worry, like when you have to fight for your team's bonuses in a really political office. And the identity drain? That's feeling like you have to become this tough, heartless manager because someone told you your collaborative style just wasn't, assertive enough. Okay, I know, this is all sounding pretty grim. But, and this is a huge but, not everyone is drowning. See, the research found this small, fascinating group of people who are actually thriving in all of this. And it turns out they're doing something completely different. How small a group? Well, get this. It's just 10%. Only about 10% of these high achievers weren't just getting by. They were truly living full, vibrant lives. So the big question is, what's their secret? So let's talk about a guy named Matthew. He's one of these 10%ers. He gets offered this massive promotion. We're talking a $500,000 pay raise, but it meant he'd have to move his family. And he said no. He turned it down. His coworkers, as you can imagine, thought he was completely crazy. Why would you do that? But his choice tells us everything. The secret isn't about grinding harder for more money or a bigger title. It's about protecting something way more valuable. So what are they protecting? What is this secret antidote? It's authentic human connection. We're all fed this myth that resilience is about you, all alone just having to be strong and dig deep. But the research is crystal clear. That's wrong. Real resilience isn't something you find inside yourself. It's something you build with your network. So on one hand, you've got the myth we all know, this idea of solitary grit, the lone wolf toughing it out. But on the other hand, you have the reality that these 10%ers live by. For them, resilience isn't about digging deeper into yourself. It's about reaching out to other people. They get it. Resilience isn't a personality trait you have. It's a web of support you build. Okay, so what does this networked resilience actually look like in practice? The big idea here is that you don't need a superhero friend who does everything. Instead, Think of it like building a toolkit. You need different people for different things. You need someone who just gives you empathy, who just listens. Then you need someone who can offer practical help, like, I'll take that off your plate. You absolutely need someone who can make you laugh when things are ridiculous. You need a truth teller who gives you perspective. And you need someone who reminds you why you're doing all this in the first place. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Great, another huge project, rebuild my entire social life. But that's not it at all. The whole point is that you reclaim your life with small, doable actions. This isn't a revolution. It's about making tiny, deliberate shifts, starting right now. And here's a fantastic place to start. Just stop creating so much micro stress for the people around you. It's that simple. I mean, look at this. Imagine getting your team together for one quick chat to agree on some new rules. Start putting the request and the deadline right in the email's subject line. Stop hitting reply all on everything. End meetings 10 minutes early so people can breathe. These aren't just little efficiency tips. They're acts of respect. They cut out tons of needless stress and actually make your network stronger. And really, that brings us right to the heart of it all. The secret of these 10 percenters, it's not some complicated 5-year plan to find happiness somewhere down the road. It's about making the small moments you're living right now richer and more real by connecting with other people. That's it. That's the whole game. So that leaves us with one last really important question. And this one's just for you. The solution doesn't have to be big. It starts small. It starts now. So when you think about your own life, your own network, what's one small, simple connection you can decide to strengthen tomorrow?